Welcome back to Mystara for another perilous trek into the lands of the Savage Coast. This time talking about the Inheritors, a group of 3 organizations seeking to control access to cinnabryl. They are known for possessing the secret of the Crimson Essence, a potion that allows them to develop multiple gifts of the Red Curse, but greatly increasing their need for cinnabryl. They also seek to control aspects of all minerals related to the Red Curse for a variety of reasons. While their motives also seem selfish, there's a reason for that. So what drives these cinnabryl cartels? I'm Mr. Welch, and today the first taste is free. As the source material for the Red Coast is a bit contradictory between the various books on where the Red Coast is actually located, it's not actually labeled on any map, and it's either restricted to the baronies or spread throughout the Savage Coast. Based on later information during Mystara's second edition phase, it's hinted that the Red Curse just covers the baronies, but that's it. So for the sake of clarity, we're using the smaller spread. The Inheritors, despite public belief, is a single organization comprised of 3 distinct divisions. The divisions are along philosophical lines, each group believing a different reason to control the flow of the cinnabryl to the public. The 3 groups will work together as a whole, despite their differences, and while they have different motives, all of them seek the same goal. Publicly, the groups are rarely seen together, but in a case of a dispute or an emergency that involves different members of the Inheritors, a council of 3 representatives from each division will meet in a private conclave to decide the correct course of action. In centuries past, the Inheritors represented different trading guilds that worked on the Savage Coast for the purpose of profit, though many were backed by different churches and also sought to spread religion to the natives of the area. With the coming of the Red Curse, the guilds realized that in order to protect themselves, they needed to control access to cinnabryl, or else they risked suffering from the uncontrolled mutations that accompany the Red Curse. All 3 of the guilds began acquiring cinnabryl from all the available sources, and soon had enough to control their own affliction, but also make sure that local settlements were able to get their needed supply as well. The constant warring between the baronies meant that local governments often couldn't or wouldn't help their own people control the curse, so the task fell to the guilds. Eventually, the guilds became a single group as their methods were similar and their expertise in supply chains worked best if they worked together. With the discovery of the Crimson Essence, an alchemical substance that allows its users to obtain multiple legacies, the Inheritors gained a power that no one else had. They could use powers far above those of the everyday peasant, though at a cost. The more legacies an Inheritor acquired, the more devastating the effects if they ran out of cinnabryl. By the time this was discovered, almost all Inheritors had several legacies thanks to the Crimson Essence, so maintaining control over the supply and use of cinnabryl became paramount to them. The organization tries to control all aspects of the materials that are created as byproducts of the Red Curse. Even items that are benign to the Inheritors are tightly controlled because they command massive sums in the right markets, and the less that are available means the bigger the profit for the Inheritors. One substance that the Inheritors try to outright ban is that of smoke powder. The magical substance has a catastrophic effect on the cinnabryl worn by Inheritors, depleting it at a greatly accelerated rate. The Inheritors try to choke the supply of smoke powder and its 2 components, steel seed and vermeil. The problem is the nation of Cimarron, where smoke powder is common, and so is hatred of the Inheritors. As much as the Inheritors want to control the supply, their reach only goes so far. The first of the 3 organizations inside the Inheritors is the Order of the Ruby Rose, a lawful group formerly known as the Brotherhood of Order, or the Lawful Brotherhood. They believe they can undo the curse by understanding it, so taking on multiple legacies is the preferred method to see if they can find information on how to undo them. To the public, they're known as Ruby Inheritors. Advancement in the group is done by formal elections, and possible applicants are screened by a committee before allowed to join. The Order of the Flame is the chaotic group of Inheritors. Originally, there were 3 groups known as the Chaotic Sisterhood, the Friends of Freedom, and the Chaotic Alliance. They believe that legacies are the key to power. The organization, as you can expect, has a diverse membership, and the motivations of the Inheritors can vary greatly. Some just want to be left alone as they acquire legacies. Others want to use the legacies to increase their position. The leader of the Flame Inheritors is chosen through trial by combat, and new applicants are selected by the various members, though few new members are selected as the group prefers to keep their numbers low to avoid diluting their power base. The Order of Crimson, formerly the Neutral Alliance, is a religious faction inside the Inheritors, believing the curse to be a test from the immortals that they must endure. As you can expect, there's a large number of clerics that are Crimson Inheritors. Most use their legacies to help the less fortunate, in the hopes that through good deeds they will learn the secret of the curse. A few prefer to observe the curse's effects on others, to see if they can garner secrets from the suffering inflicted. The groups that would become the Inheritors were the first ones to discover the link between cinnabryl and avoiding the Red Curse. Once they realized that the amulets made from cinnabryl stopped the effects of the Red Curse, they began acquiring all the cinnabryl mines they could possibly find. Because of the need for gold to maintain the constant civil wars that plagued the savage baronies, many of the local nobles were more than happy to sell what they considered to be worthless pits filled with common metals that were too soft to be forged. From there, the Inheritors started looking for other minerals related to the Red Curse to establish a monopoly over them as well. Inheritors tried to obtain all the cinnabryl, red steel, crimson essence, and smoke powder they can. though smoke powder is difficult to corner the market on because Cimarron produces so much of it and their hostility towards the Inheritors. Inheritors make their wealth through the sale of Red Coast-related products. While cinnabryl is necessary for people inside of the Red Coast, other items are sought after for their magical benefits by everyone. The Inheritors sell cinnabryl to the nobles and elites that will pay to have a constant supply, while the rest is usually given to the poor once all the sales are complete. As the amulets degrade over time, there's no point in hoarding them. Giving the remainder away for free is a huge public relations win for the Inheritors. The rest of the items are either used by the Inheritors themselves or sold to the highest bidding. The sale of these items keep the Inheritors quite wealthy, allowing them to acquire new mines as they appear. Attempting to take the mines from the Inheritors by force is a bad idea. They will just embargo the offenders from acquiring more cinnabryl and let the Red Curse do their work for them. The Inheritors jealously guard the production and sale of Red Curse-related items. If they control the means of production, they control the price. They have immense influence and power because of their established monopolies. So if they start using strong-arm tactics against small-time forges or smiths, few people will step in and stop them. Most of the time they will simply hire the smith or armorer to work for them, and sell the goods at market prices that the Inheritors dictate. They do have to stay subtle in these areas, but despite their power, they are not large in number by choice. If a merchant does not want to do business with all the Inheritors, there is little they can do short of violence or sabotage. While this is fine for the Flame Inheritors, most of the others would balk at the thought of strong-arming everyday merchants. The Inheritors' biggest secret is how they manage to make the effects of the Crimson Essence permanent. Normally when you drink the potion, you get a second legacy for a while, and then the effect fades. The Inheritors, through magical research, figured out a way for the effect to remain permanent, and even to acquire more legacies as they age. The Crimson Essence for Inheritors stays in their system for some time. They just can't chug it to get all their legacies at once. Instead, once an Inheritor is ready for another dose, they are provided the Crimson Essence in a ceremony provided by their order, and a new legacy is acquired. Drinking the Crimson Essence before they're ready for another dose does provide them another legacy, but it's only temporary, exactly in the same way as someone other than an Inheritor taking the Crimson Essence. The benefits of the Crimson Essence are obvious, but the drawbacks are a tightly kept secret. Every additional legacy adds to the curse, and losing your cinnabryl amulet exposes you to every legacy's curse. Minor changes include a reddening of the skin, making Inheritors stand out to those who know what to look for. The most devastating is the effect that smoke powder has on Inheritors. When fired in close proximity to an Inheritor, the smoke powder magically burns away a week's worth of cinnabryl. If the Inheritor doesn't have that much cinnabryl, they immediately go into the time of change and suffer the ill effects of all their legacies. As you can imagine, the Inheritors do their best to get rid of all smoke powder everywhere. The problem is that guns are commonplace in the county of Cimarron, and they will sell them and the smoke powder to whoever has the money. The Inheritors do what they can to intercept these shipments outside of Cimarron, but there's little they can do in the nation itself, especially since the government and the merchants there have all but banned them from their borders. The three different factions inside the Inheritors have a complicated relationship, but maintain a degree of civility between each other due to their common goals. Every Inheritor has several rights, including access to cinnabryl and Crimson Essence, the right to a trial, and if necessary, the right to be freed from another's custody. Being incarcerated for an Inheritor is usually a death sentence, as prisoners will receive no cinnabryl, and that is their greatest fear. Every Inheritor is given 4 rights by the group, and these rights are sacrosanct. No Inheritor can be attacked by another in their home. No Inheritor can attack each other without issuing a formal challenge beforehand. No Inheritor can turn down a request for aid. And lastly, no Inheritor can be attacked at or on their way to a conclave. Violating these rights can earn the offender any number of penalties, up to and including death. Inheritors do have a large amount of support staff to help them with their endeavors. New members to the Inheritors are rare. Because of the magics involved in creating an Inheritor, they only recruit young people, and they require a year's training before they're even eligible to officially join. Associates of the Inheritors, while not having the same access to the magical substances the Inheritors hoard, are paid quite well for their services. They act as go-betweens and facemen for the organization, lobbying governments to help control or gain access to the cinnabryl the Inheritors need. They perform the day-to-day operations of the Inheritors and allow the group some degree of anonymity in dealing with outsiders. The Inheritors are a complex group. While they're famous for their underhanded tactics and well-deserved reputation for arrogance, they are a stabilizing force in the baronies, and because of their habit of supplying the poor with free cinnabryl, they're a welcomed one by the less fortunate. But they guard their monopoly mercilessly. They will hunt down anyone who exposes their secrets, especially how to gain multiple legacies from the Crimson Essence. Because if the nobles of the baronies found out that this was possible, what they would do to captured Inheritors to get their secrets would make Glantrians nauseous. Next week on Welcome to Mystara, we are going to look at possibly the most convoluted family tree in Mystara, and probably Dungeons & Dragons. That of the D'Ambervilles. Who are these people? How are they related to each other? And why are they almost uniformly nuts? But until then, guess who just broke 1 million views on YouTube? Now for 1 million subscribers. I'm only 995,000 away. So remember to like and subscribe, because that makes YouTube like me more.